And sorry about that. And just had some technical difficulties. And we're back. And hopefully you can hear me now. And let me see this. Boop. We'll do it on there. Hopefully you can hear me because that's what you need to do, be able to hear me. So let's go ahead and get started again. We should have some people on here. Once we get some folks on here, we will get started. And until we do, I'm just going to play a little bit of music. No, I'm not going to do that. So, as we get going, what I want to do is I want to talk about what's going on this session. And we're going to kind of wait until we get some people on. And it's going to be a great session. If you don't know, the House of Representatives and the Senate and I would say the governor's office, but they've been in session. They didn't go out of session. We will be starting our session opening day on Monday the 12th. And let me know if you can hear me. I hope you can hear me. You should be able to put some comments as well if you can hear me. Just let me know. And if you can't, we will try to do something about it. Opening day is where the governor does the state of the state. Thanks, appreciate it. Hey, thanks for coming into my office and got some news for you on your bills and your ideals that you gave me, and we'll talk about that a little later. Um, so, opening day is when the governor does their state of the state. Basically, if you think about the State of the Union, it's the state of the state. The governor comes in, talks about the state, her plans, or the executive's plans, their vision, and what they want to do. So, if this is going to be your first time going to the state of the state or your first time watching it, all you do is go to www.azledge.gov and you click on live proceedings and you'll be able, and I'll show that later, you'll be able to check out the state of the state and, follow along. So, um, here is, I want to talk about what's going forward, what you will see this coming session. So let me go ahead and pull this up for you all. Give me a minute. Let me go back. So if you should be able to see this. You should be able to see this. I got to do some. I'm just straight ghetto on this whole thing. Okay, here we go. Here we go. All right. So let me do this for you also. I want to make sure that you're able to see this thing because it's important to know what's happening. You can tell I haven't been on here for a little bit. Here we go. There we go. There we go. All right. So please forgive me. I'm working this out. I promise I am working this out. Here we go. Here we go. Okay. So all right, here we go. We're gonna go ahead and show y'all what's happening this session. And again, please forgive the deal there. You should be able to chat in there if you have questions. Hopefully you can see that. probably can't see that. Let's see, you should be able to see it. My bad. I want to be able to have you all see it. And please forgive me. Please forgive me. Please forgive me. We are going to make sure that this happens. I've got a I got some dysfunctions here. I got some dysfunctions. Okay. Let's see. That is not what I wanted. That's not what I wanted, folks. I wanted y'all to be able to see this darn thing. And it looks like that it's going to be hard to see. You see it? I know. Yeah, it's kind of small. But let me fix this. If you just give me a minute, we're going to be able to fix this. And as I am going through this and fixing this, I will talk a little bit more about opening day and what it represents and how we go about getting started for opening day. What's the significance of it, and why it's important to Arizonans, because we want to make sure that folks um, are versed of the bills that are going to be coming out, the type of legislation that they have been hoping to get past the finish line. Last year, as you know, there was a lot of bills that came out of committees. A lot of those bills did not get heard, if you will, and a lot of folks were upset about that. So hopefully, if you did have a bill, it will get across the finish line. And if it can do that, that'll be good for folks, and they can be able to see their bills. Okay, so let me see if I can do this for you now. Hopefully, it'll set up. You don't want to see that. That's my tank. That is my tank. You don't want to see that. Alrighty. All right, here we go. And it's still small. I don't know what's going on with this darn thing. And I do apologize. This is a little bit crazy how this is happening. And I do not like the fact that it is doing this. It's crazy. Let's see. We are going to go back to where it should be. And that's why. Hold up. Don't you hate when that happens? You get all good to go, and then, yeah, this is bullshit. Excuse my language. Excuse my language. Somebody will say something. You said a bad word. I'm not sure if y'all can even see that, but I don't want to present something that I had this whole thing ready to go for you all, and now we're doing this thing where it doesn't want to come up the right way. And that sucks. Because I wanted to show you guys something, and it doesn't work. It's not working. It sucks that it isn't working. Let's see. Oh, that's my tank. Yes. That's my tank. I'm not sure if y'all can see that. That sucks. Okay. Hopefully, you all can see that. Hopefully, you can see that at least. So, here is what's coming this year. And for this session. So, the session again starts this Monday. The state of the state, you'll see that if you watch the channel, and we'll go to the channel for you. So this is what we're looking at for next session. This session will be we'll have some constraints with this, and there's going to be some conflicts, and we as lawmakers, we're not going to have the luxury to, really give out a lot of appropriations to folks. And the focus is going to be, the budget. It's going to be institutional trust. We're going to have heightened oversight. As you know, my committee has been expanded to the Government Oversight Committee. Some of you already know, going to be doing an oversight on DCS. Some of you already knew that I was talking about. So we were going to see that, and then we have the pressure of the midterms that are coming up. So those are some of the highlights. Okay, so let's talk about the budget really quickly and what we're going to see. The era of easy money is over, I will tell you, in Arizona. I talked about the budget a couple of months ago, told you where we were tied at on the budget and where we are going to have to cut back on the budget. $17 billion and some change was the budget for last year. And we ended up pretty close on leftovers, in which was not a lot. However, with revenues and interest and so on and so forth, I'm expecting us to start out with a budget that's going to be a little bit larger, but not. And I'm not talking a 17 billion larger. I'm talking about as we start. So some of the pressures of the budget, we're going to see growth patterns in our revenue, one-time funding from the federal government. We're going to see some infrastructure and maintenance backlogs. We'll see some of that. We'll see some major spending battles, healthcare funding, and rural hospitals. Talked about some of that. How HR1 affected rural Arizona education funding. We need to be looking at the funding formula again versus the outcome, and then infrastructure needs as we arise for new commitments. And the credibility test, as you can see, can a legislator fund essentials without kicking costs down the road? And that's when I'm talking about kicking costs down the road. I don't think that, for these critical infrastructure projects in school funding and corrections oversight and DCS oversight, we can't afford to kick it down the road. So when we're talking about accountability and government performance, this will be a major oversight of what we are going to see. So my committee, my focus, government and oversight committee, going to be talking about child safety. They're going to be under scrutiny. That's the Department of Child Safety. They're going to be facing some of the, oversight. As you all know, we were looking at corrections. We had a bill last year, and that bill was a oversight committee for corrections. As you know, it didn't get funded, and we are trying to get that funded. That's $1.5 million, not billion dollars. $1.5 million on that. We're going to be looking at the procurement practices across the state and see if they're in compliance. And we're going to be looking at the rulemaking authority. And if you're not familiar with the rules, it's an organization called GERC. It's a a bill is passed out of the House and Senate, it gets signed by the governor. And what GERC does is to make sure that the legislation in that bill gets it is applied. So, for example, DCS has certain rules based on the way that their agency is set that they have to do that's mandated by law. And every time there's a new bill, that those rulemaking authorities, we need to make sure that they are following those rules. And these folks will be in front of my committee, not all at one time, because as you know, we're doing child safety DCS first. And we will, as we go through the session, we'll look through it. We'll keep folks informed. Now, public safety and the rule of law, it's really important. And we are going to see, I think, in my opinion, I think we're going to see an uptick, for example, in the Department of Corrections, because first of all, the Oversight Committee has not been funded. The office has to be put together. There are significant issues in the Department of Corrections. And if it's not fixed, we're going to continue to see some issues. So prison violence, staffing shortages, judicial capacity, and victim services. Those are going to be key areas that the legislature will be looking at. It's going to depend also on what committee. For example, a lot of this will go to public safety, to the Public Safety Committee when we're looking at these things. However, as an oversight committee, a governmental oversight committee, I can look into some of these functions and see if they're following the rules that were set. We're going to be looking at workforce development, housing, and the cost of living. For example, workforce development programs tied directly to employers, real employer demands, and not theoretical job categories. So we want to make sure that, for example, there is a construction project and that the workforce development programs in Arizona, that they have a streamlined basis to be able to get people to work using their state agencies' resources. Housing supplies, we need to focus on the increasing supply through the permit reform and not just through subsidies. Owning an American home, or owning a home, is the American dream. It's important that we try to make it affordable for folks. And housing, as you know, there's a shortage, and a lot of people can't buy a home because it is so expensive to do that. And then the cost pressures of infrastructure investments, that's going to be able to partner with private sectors and to make sure that that's affordable. So we're going to be aligning, again, our workforce with the actual demands in the market. We're going to be looking at the streamlining and permitting processes and the approval process. We're going to remove local barriers to make jobs available and to put people back to work. And of course, take a look at the infrastructure needs. So let's talk about federal overreach and the separations of powers. As you know, I do a lot of podcasts. We talk about the Constitution and separation of powers and the federal overreach, which we see a lot of. And these issues are ongoing. The question that a lot of folks are asking, or what are the questions of who governs the state. We are a sovereign state. We have our own constitution. Of course, there is the federal constitution, or the Constitution of the United States. However, there is a thing called the 10th Amendment, and we need to make sure that the federal government stays in their lane. Federal mandate challenges that we are going to probably see, we're going to see some legal challenges to the federal requirements that is going to exceed constitutional authority, or that imposes on the burdens of the state. So as we see legislation that comes down from the state or down from the federal government, we are going to see some things that are outside of their area of responsibility, our authority, if you will. Again, we're going to also look at the rulemaking, the scrutiny of the federal government, some of the bills that come down in the Constitution, 10th Amendment, and sovereignty debates. We need to be getting into that a little bit more on our podcast. We'll be talking more on that. So the next one is the election year, and that should not undercut what we're trying to do this year. We're not really in full election year. I say my ideal of full election year is after the primaries. The political behaviors in Arizona, it's a seismic shift within the parties, and when we're talking about the fringes of each side. And how do we approach that going into this election year? And what are the challenges of that? We're going to be talking about that more on my podcast. However, kind of looking at research, what we are going to see are messaging bills that's going to increase the volume of bills that we are going to see. I think right now we are sitting on 200 bills. Last session, it was 1,200 bills or 1,300 bills that went to the process. We're going to be looking at the positioning of 2006 early campaign themes. You're going to see a lot of that emerging in legislative debates. So folks will be getting on the floor, explaining their vote, and you will actually hear some of their early campaign rhetoric on the floor, and making sure that we pass amendments, the floor amendments, that are going to be crafted into headlines that are substantive. So there's two ways to do this. You'll get some folks that are going to put messaging bills that really don't mean anything. And I'm just being straight up with you. They're going to get on the floor and they're going to do some posturing about what their bill is. And then you'll also see amendments are added to it. It's just going to, you'll be able to know. And as we go through the session, you'll be able to see some of my live feeds on the floor, and I'll walk you through some of that stuff. The bottom line is the session is going to be, I believe, it has to be defined by discipline. And it's not going to be about volume. It's going to be about discipline and spending, oversight, and constitutional boundaries from the federal government. And not asking, the public, and this is not in there, not asking the public to wait on legislation that should be done or should have been done a while ago. And, when we're talking about, louder politics, louder politics is somebody screaming on a social media app or platform, or they're clickbaiting, just all kind of stuff. And that does not help. Again, I believe in the First Amendment as long as, it's an opinion, it's your opinion, and it's not something that is, going to hurt you later on. So we're going to see louder politics as we get closer to the primaries and in the general. So what we're looking at doing is, and this is what these are my tenets for this session coming up, is I'm looking for fiscal discipline. We need a realistic budget without any kind of gimmicks or unstable commitments to Arizonans. The oversight discipline, that's important to me. There needs to be in-depth oversight that we need to look at, and it has to be without partisanship. It has to be bipartisan when we are looking at these organizations that need to be fixed. And in constitutional discipline, we need to make sure that we are respecting the U.S. Constitution as long as they are respecting the 10th Amendment and understanding that government overreach is not something that is going to be tolerated. When we're looking at legislative activities by the numbers, in 2025 we had 1,800 bills that were introduced. Bills that were transmitted to the governor's office was 439. Laws enacted was 265, and then vetoes issued last year by the current administration was 174. So the status for this session coming up right now, as of today, we have, I'm sorry, as of yesterday, I would say, over 200 bills, because I know it's more, have already been pre-filed, with hundreds more expected to come before the February introduction deadline. So there are, you will see more bills to come. So what I want you to watch for as we go forward is the bill introduction, the patterns of the bill introductions. Some of the deadlines are going to be in February. Please track the committee assignments and watch the hearing schedules. Monitor the budget negotiations and the responsibility that we should make sure that we are producing a good product for you. And again, the session will test whether Arizona's government can deliver competent, accountable results, or whether it will default on political theater. And political theater is nothing more than folks just, I say, running their mouths, and that's not something that I have the patience for, and I'm sure as constituents you don't have the patience for. So we got some questions coming up, and I'll answer those questions. I want to get into really quickly about the DCS issue again, because I always talk about that. I want to talk about what's going on in DOC, Department of Corrections. They got some new name now. And you've already seen what's going to happen during this session. And I will make sure that I will put that information on my website. And my website, if you don't know it, and I'll make sure that I put it on there for you, what my website is. And it's at the bottom of the screen, Vote Walk Be. You can go to that, and you can find my website on X, or also TikTok or YouTube. You'll be able to see that on there. Now, let's talk about let's talk about DCS. Now, as you know, we are going to be holding DCS hearings this year, this session. The first meeting, let me make sure that I got it right for you all. I don't want to tell you something. It is in the first month. Let me find this out for you really quickly, and so you can be ready to go. Right? Be ready to go. All right. So we will be having our first DCS Department of Child Services hearing on the 21st of January during my committee. My committee starts at 9 a.m. I am usually in hearing room 5, the last hearing room. When you go down to the hearing rooms, if you go to the request to speak console, the committee rooms are on the left-hand side when you go into the to the request to speak consoles, and my committee is right there. It's hearing room 5. So 21st January, we are going to um, have our first committee hearing. We're going to have some folks that come in. Let me kind of tell you the structure of how this is going to happen. Now, the 21st, I don't suspect us to have very many bills. I do want folks to understand that I have two major responsibilities. Responsibility of hearing legislation so we can get it out, it can get voted on, and it can get signed. The second responsibility is the oversight part. And there may be times when I will request special hearings for the oversight part, particularly for the Department of Child Services. So there will be times where my regular committee meetings are on Wednesday, but you will probably see special hearings, either, like, for example, on the 22nd, or it can be on the 27th of the following week. We have to be flexible because we have other members that have other committees that they are on, and we want to make sure that we don't conflict with their other responsibilities to their other committees. So that is being worked out by my staff. However, the first committee hearing is going to be on the 21st. We are going to have the first part of the committee hearing. We are going to have, for example, the Auditor General come in and give us an update on their last audit that they did. And they'll put that all together, give us a briefing on that. In the audience, or the folks that want to come in and see that, it's opened. All you have to do is make sure you're there on time when the committee starts. If we get an overflow, which I hope we do, pass the word. If we get an overflow, there's an overflow room that the security folks will figure that out, where they can put overflow if we have that. It's a big committee room anyway, so we'll see there. So we're going to have a presentation from the Auditor General. We're going to have a presentation about some legislation that the members are going to bring forward. We're going to have a great presentation from one of the members on the board, John Gillette, former Command Sergeant Major. He has found some data that really speaks to this. Our clock from Germany going on. He has found some data that is unbelievable. This is a numbers guy. Okay, he's an intel guy in the military. He found some data that he is going to present. And it is data that is not out there. It's data that he has found, and I'm looking forward to seeing what he has, and it's going to really be good to hear. Then we're going to have my vice chair. She is going to give a presentation about her bill and constitutional violations that we have seen in the DCS, basic constitutional rights that we are going to see. And then we have the group coming in from Florida, and they are going to show us how they can find some of these missing children. Now, it's not to say that these children, I don't know what's the status of these children other than they are missing. Also, I'm not saying that they are going to find all the missing children. What they are going to do is show us a process to be able to use in the state to be able to locate where some of these kids are. And it's an amazing process that they use. I mean, it's something, out of 007. That's what I say. But it's going to help us in Arizona. Hopefully we can locate some of these children from that. And then after that, we are going to have a presentation from a young lady who has been in the trenches with this for years. She has done some great work. She's going to give us an extensive background on what's going on with DCS. And I've asked her to take the gloves off, and that's what's going to happen. And I saved her for last because she is going to probably have the longest presentation. She's going to bring to light a lot of information that needs to be out there, and that'll be the presentations. The following meeting is when we will have agencies in. We're still working on that list. Of course, DCS is at the top of the list. We're going to have law enforcement come in. We are going to have GERK, the rules folks that come in. We are going to have personal testimonies folks that come in. We're going to have numbers folks that come in from JLBC. We're going to have the auditor or the attorney general's office, somebody from the attorney general's office come in and speak to us. We're going to have a litany of folks, people that come in. Now, the hard questions are going to be asked, and a lot of those hard questions are going to go and be directed to the agency, DCS, because it's not a finger pointing thing. I'm not trying to point the finger in their eye. We are trying to find out, get to the bottom of it, because we know the problems. Okay, we know the problems. It's not going to be one of those we go through the same exercise, mental exercise, and we already know the problems. They've been existing for years. That's not this type of committee. This type of committee is not going to be asking them about the problems. It's going to be asking them about what solutions that they have come up with. And if those solutions are not good enough, we are going to give or put in place some of those solutions. And some of the solutions that we have already come up with are tough solutions that's going to get folks' attention and give them no other choice than to fix this system. Okay, I've heard on the news from the executive about it's DCS is being kind of played down, and it shouldn't be. Let's stop pretending that DCS is doing the best job that they can. Not saying about the personnel or the staff. I am not talking about them. I am talking about the systemic problems that they have had for decades. Long before some of the folks who are working there now have been involved with DCS. This has been going on for decades. Okay? Now, again, this isn't a got you moment, but it is not going to be an easy walk, hugging trees, holding daffodils. This is not that. This is not that type of committee. Again, I also have subpoena power. I cannot subpoena private agencies. I can't do that. That is not in my authority. However, if folks are not being honest about, like, for example, some of the stuff that we find in the attorney or the auditor general's report, and they are not being honest, I will subpoena you for that information. If you're in one of these agencies, you will be subpoenaed if you're trying to hide information. Okay? Some of the folks, the agency folks, will be sworn in. You will be sworn in because you work for the state, you work for the agency that we fund as a legislative body in the Arizona House of Representatives, because we hold the purse strings. So don't think you'll be able to get out of that. So if you lie about something, you're under oath, and you shouldn't do that. Now, witnesses, regular witnesses, will not be sworn in because I do not have authority to do that, but I do have authority to swear in folks that work in the agencies and also subpoena documents that if we discover that are wrong, um, that are if they're holding back, um, we can subpoena those. Something different that no other committee has done, but we are doing. When we find wrongdoing in that committee or in that agency, we are going to refer any criminal activity that is brought out. And again, folks have their due process, so on and so forth. Or if something needs to be investigated further that we don't have the authorization to, we are referring that to the Department of Justice. We are not going through the Arizona Attorney General's office. And John Gillette, the member on our committee, he'll break that down of how we were able to do that. And why do I put this out there? Because I'm about transparency. Okay, as a chairman, I'm about transparency, and it's important for me to tell you what you can expect. So when you get out there or somebody that's going to be in front of the committee, it's not going to be a surprise. It's not going to be you walk up and oh, I didn't know you were going to ask for this document that we didn't know. So you better have your stuff together. Because if you don't have your stuff together, and I ask for it, you will come back to the committee, asked to come back to the committee, and hopefully you bring the stuff that we need. If you decide not to return, you're behind, and those documents will be subpoenaed. Now, I want to put this out there also. As the chairman of the Government Oversight Committee, we are going to be looking at all the agencies. We're going to take the Auditor General's report on all the agencies and see which ones need to be looked at, because that is our job as the committee, to run legislation, because there are policies that need to be in place. And also, as a committee, if there is wasteful spending, if there is neglect, if there is some sort of shenanigans going on, we're going to come look at you. It's not going to be an inspection. It's not going to be it's just not going to be that. Okay, so this is not a threat, because I don't make threats. However, if you're watching this and you are part of an agency, guess what? You may be looked at if you are not spending Arizona tax dollars wisely, or there is fraud, waste, and abuse in the agencies. So this isn't just for DCS. This is for every agency that is in our state government, that as a chairman of the government oversight, that I have authorization to look at your agency. This isn't an IG inspection. It is not that. So if you think about oversight, government oversight, think about what they do in Congress for oversight. It ain't going to be a clown show what they do up there. That's not what I'm talking about. We are trying to get solutions to real problems. But that's what we're kind of talking about. Okay? That is what we're talking about. I've got a great team. I've got some real professionals on my committee, the Government Oversight Committee. And I'm excited for this session to start and for them to do what they do best. And I am not going to hold them back. That's not what I'm going to do, because every one of them they are subject matter experts in something, particularly the DCS still. I'm not going to hold them back. There's going to be some, time limits and things like that. Okay. However, they've got to do their job, and I am going to let them do their job. I'm going to make sure that the committee does not get out of order, that there's not a bunch of yelling and all that, because I will put you out. However, I'm going to let my members do their job because they are professionals, and they have been working on this new concept that we are doing, not for like a month or not for like a week. They've been working on these concepts and not just DCS concepts or policies. They've been working and looking at policies and agencies ever since we left session last session. And some of them had some ideas coming in to the first session that we need to look at. So if one of my members come to me and say, hey, this, we should really look at this agency. I've been hearing a lot about this agency. There may be some issues. We'll talk to them, have a little stakeholder meeting. And then from a stakeholder meeting, we find something that we need to bring to the public, we will. A lot of folks don't like the fact that I am willing to bring things to the public. Let me make something very, very clear to folks that may not like that, because I've heard some of that. I've heard some of that, believe it or not. Not from other lawmakers, but I've heard some conversations about that. We're not going to do any crap behind closed doors. It's not going to work. I don't function. I'm not saying the other committees do this. I'm just saying how Representative Blackman works. I want to be transparent in everything I do. I try to be transparent in my private life. I try to be except for what goes on in my home, because that's private. I'm talking about my business doings, when I'm working at the Capitol, policy, things that we are talking about. Transparency is government. We are not up there to just make deals or do things behind closed doors. It doesn't work that way. That's not how legislation is supposed to work, and that is not how representatives are supposed to function. As representatives, we are supposed to be as transparent as looking through a window, and not a dirty window, but a clean window. The public has every right to know what's going on with their government. Every single thing that happens in government, the public has the right. They are taxpayers, but the most important is that they fall under the same constitution that lawmakers fall under. So the days of, in my committee at least, of doing these things behind closed doors, it's not going to happen when we're talking about committee hearings. It's not going to happen. Stakeholder meetings are when we come together as a group and we try to figure out and work a problem. That's a stakeholder meeting. Or come together and, okay, let's work on a bill. Those are common. But if we're looking at your agency, it's not, we're not doing none of that. Oh, can we meet? Can we meet first? Nah. Especially if we're trying to bring stuff out to make the public aware. Them days are gone. Again, not saying that other committees doing that. I'm just telling you what Walt Blackman does. And before I close, I think I'm going on an hour. I'll ask some questions, answer some questions before I go. Being former military, let me tell you, I wouldn't say it's a saying or what have you, but being in the military, we are forced. Now, I've been retired for almost 10 years, so I don't know what they're doing now, other than what I see on TV. However, in the military, You are forced to show the good, the bad, and the ugly to the public. We didn't, in the military, we didn't have the option to kind of push things to the side or push things to the back. Now, when we're talking about classified information, that's different. But when someone or something goes wrong in the military, for example, the increase of sexual assaults in the military. If you remember anything about Tailhook, okay, or if you've seen the documentary, and I recommend you watch it, it's called The Invisible War, the increase of sexual assaults in the military. That was all out in the public. Why? Because citizens have a right to know what's going on with their government as long as it is not classified. Classified information is national security and it's being protected under those types of classifications. However, if we do something wrong, guess what? And so you got a guy who grew up in that environment. So since I grew up in that environment, we are going to make sure that we do the right thing and that the public has the information that they need. We're not going to hide behind these things. And that's just how it is. We're just not going to do that. Before I go to questions, I'm not sure if y'all heard this when I opened up, so I got to do it again. Um, so, uh, somebody always talks about my hat. I'm not going to say who it is. No need for me to say that. But somebody always talks about the hats that I have. For example, there was I think it was a Facebook post or what have you that was floating around, and someone said that I don't know what they said. I some I don't know some what do you call that? Not Black Panther group or I don't know Black Power. I don't know. But I was wearing this hat. I was wearing this hat. Now I can see where they would mistake this because I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt. But if you look at you got some fist up there, and then you have some names on there, and those names are my children. And I got this hat for Father's Day. Best dad ever. These are the names of my children. But somebody said it was like a black. I think they said Black Lives Matter or something like that. I don't know. You know, Marxist or something like that. This is that hat. So if you see something floating around on the internet that says that I'm some and they'll probably still push that. The second thing is you see this hat. If on the bottom of it, it says black team. And on the top, it says tarantula. So this hat is a team hat that as a team that I was on when I was stationed at the National Training Center. The National Training Center out in Fort Irwin is a training center where units come to train before they deploy, or if it's their time to rotate through. Now you have the 11th Armored Cavalry Regiment that acts as the OP4. You have the Blue Forces, which are the forces that come in to train. And then you have, think of referees. They are the operations group. And in the operations group, there are several different teams. In those teams, we have the tarantula team. And we train armor and infantry units, mechanized, and folks that come through. That's what our team trains. That is solely what we train when units come, when they come to our team. Okay? So if you put out a text or a Twitter or whatever it is, whoever does it, I don't know. I'm not pointing fingers. But if you see something like this and they're saying, Walt Blackman is wearing a black team, that was our name, our slogan, along with Tarantula. So Tarantula was the team. Black team was the operations slogan. That's what it is. So if you get it confused or if you whatever you do, that is what it is. It's a team hat. The back of my hat says Delta 1-8. And then Alpha, I think it's back here. No. Okay. That was my call sign. Okay. So if you say something, you know what? I probably better show it. Hold on. You see that? You got 1-8 Delta or 1-8 Alpha. 1-8 Alpha is the team leader, and 1-8 I was part of the team. So if you're gonna do it, make sure you tell the whole truth when you do it. Let's go ahead and go to questions or answers. Let me put my glasses on. So the first one, and thanks for coming to my office last week, the ACDCS Oversight Group. As you know, a couple of weeks ago, and this is part of transparency. On this very live feed, I said, listen, if you have information, or if you want to meet me in person, you want to talk about this issue or some other issue that you are seeing, come to my office and we will talk and we will get to the bottom of these things. AZDCS Oversight Group, their representative came to my office. And they didn't just come to my office complaining about things. She came to my office with solutions. I'm talking about some real solutions. Some real solutions. And I looked at them. I said, you know what? We need to run some of these as legislation. So I'm not sure if she's on here now because they have a big group. However, that is what I am talking about. When I say I'm going to do something, I do it. When I give my word to do something, I give my word. My word is all I have. That is it. Though people try to tarnish that, my word is all I have. And if I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. Okay? I'm going to do it. And I'm going to make sure that I treat people accordingly and treat them right. Because that's important. Let's see. I see it, but it's kind of small. Okay, that was when I had the PowerPoint up. Okay. Let's you know what? Let's do that really quickly. If you want to see, and I like that, check the candidates out and research them before you vote. I'm going to show this really quickly, and we're going a little long because we are. Okay, let me share this for you really quickly. So if you want to find out who your candidates are, who they are, okay, you can go to azsos.gov. Okay, you can find out just about everything you need to know about candidates. First of all, you can find out when to close, you can find out all those things, you can find out election dates, and you can find out election information. And I'm just going to briefly go over this because we're going to be talking about this next Monday. Okay, so really quickly, if you want to find a candidate, of course, you go down to there. You can look at candidate filing. You can look at local jurisdictions, all that good stuff. Again, we're going to be talking about this next week. And if you want to know who is running for office, okay, you can just go into this website and you can see it. And you can get a lot of information from this group, from this information. Okay. And it talks about statewide candidates, it talks about legislative candidates, so on and so forth. Okay. Uh, Excuse me. Let me put this up again really quickly. I didn't mean to get out of there like that. You can go to this and and again, we're going to be talking about this next week a little more. But you can go here, and I'm going to show you how to find candidates. Okay, and everything you need to know about who's running for federal office, how to run, so on and so forth. The candidate portal, campaign finance reports. I'm going to show you all these things. Why? Because it's important to be transparent. So you'll be able to see all of this stuff. And we are going to be talking about that when we go online. So let me do the questions really quickly. Again, make sure that you check on your candidates. Don't just rely on mailers. Mailers are not what you do to pick a candidate. You just don't do that. I mean, you can if you want to. However, social media like Twitter and all that, everybody's biased. It's overreached by state agencies. Are going to come up. Okay, yes, that will come up. It needs to be bipartisan, especially when we are dealing with DCS and children. We shouldn't fall for the theater. You are absolutely right. We have a lot of folks that are about theater. All right, that's why I like to be transparent, because I don't want anything I do to turn around and it be um, cloudy. Yes, I am going to let folks speak that are attending, because that's also part of the process. There's going to be a day when the folks want to come up and give a quick testimony of what they have seen or what they've experienced. Okay, and this so we can get notes from folks that are actually on the ground, because that's part of the process. Some folks don't like to do, they're just going to talk about it. No, that's part of the process. Okay, verify what's happening. Have people come in and show you how it can be fixed, and get feedback from people that are on the ground using it every day or working it every day. And then we come up with what works. That's how it happens. And then after every, we look at it, what worked well, what was good, what was bad, and what we need to improve on as a committee. So that is going to be offered. I don't know the time limit, but usually some people, usually chairs will give between 1 and 3 minutes. However, it is also going to uh, just really depend on, who's there that day, or, and, that's just how it is. That's just how it is. Yeah, room 5 in the committee hearing room. And while you're down there, if you are not registered to be on the RTS, to get on the RTS, register. And there's going to be next week too. We're going to be talking about how to get on the RTS. Um, that's going to be great. Meeting on the 21st. Educational is an eye opener for those that don't know about DCS. And I got to tell you, there are some stuff that's going to be coming out that there's stuff that's already there. You're going to be saying, holy smokes, Batman. We have some solutions, and thank you. I saw them. We're going to make sure that we are going to put them in there. I'll be dropping my bills Tuesday after opening day. And my friend said she has four more bills, and we may submit once more as we go on. And I encourage that. Okay. I'll leave it to the attorneys to figure out if what's constitutional or not. And yes, if they are, and I'm glad you brought that up. If you are receiving money from the state and you are a contractor, you're not off the hook, because technically you are employed by the state. Okay, so there are homes. There are group homes that we are looking at. There are group homes that we are looking at. If you're a bad actor, you probably know who you are. Okay, and don't, and you can run to the agency and run to the director and say, why are they able to look at me? Because you are receiving dollars from the state. And that money you're receiving is not free money that falls off the tree. That money is taxpayer dollars. Arizonans paying for that. And if you are receiving those dollars from the state and you are getting paid, you will be part of this process. Don't get it twisted. Okay? And I know I'll probably get some pushback on that, but guess what? I don't care. If I get pushed back, then I get pushed back, and I'll just keep going. I'll just keep going. Okay, everybody. I do apologize that this has been a long kind of deal. I do apologize for that. And however, I will say that I am thankful to have the opportunity to serve Arizona, to serve LD7. I've been blessed with that opportunity. And while I'm in office, I'm going to do my job. And some people aren't going to like that. Okay? I am not up there to make people happy, to be their friend. Now, I've got a good personality, I think, and I am polite to people, and I am respectful for people, but I am not up there to be your friend. I'm up there to do a job. I'm up there to get it done, to find solutions, to get it done, to create jobs, to create revenue, to protect your tax dollars, and to ask the hard questions and take the hard right over the easy wrong. Because it's real easy to do that. It's real easy to take the hard right over the easy wrong. And I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to kowtow to bullies. I am not going to hide under a rug that when people attack me, I'm just not going to do that. And what more can you do to me that some RPG has not already done to me in a vehicle or an IED or being shot at? What more can you do to me? If you walk into you can't do that because it's about doing my job. I am not speaking for anyone else, but I am not going to whimper out because somebody is mad at me or somebody does something online or on post. You, you can do that. You've been doing it for years. So guess what? Continue to do it. But just because you do it does not mean I'm going to back down because I won't. I won't. I will continue to stand for Arizonans. I will continue to stand for LD7. I will continue to represent where I represent because there are over 6 million people in this state. And every one of them have a right to responsible leadership, not rhetoric, not slogans. They have a right to outstanding leadership. And I can't speak for others, but I will provide that leadership because that's the job. Good, bad, or ugly. Hey, everybody, this is Walt Blackman. I hope that you have a great evening. Remember to check out my, you can check out my page. You can go to YouTube and you can see some back pages. You can also go to TikTok, Walt Blackman 1. You can do that. You can go to my website. If you are in LD7 and you want to sign my petition, you can go to, again, www.votewaltb.com. And even if you want to contribute to my campaign, because donations are a lifeline. You don't have to do that. I'm just saying if you would like to do that. Or you can go to my Twitter, and it is Blackman4AZ. That's on Twitter, Blackman4AZ. You can go to those websites and you can see what I am doing. You can look at some what have you. And let me just show this really quickly. And again, podcast is dropped every Monday, and you can catch those on iHeart, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. You can find them on all of them. Player FM, you can find those on there. And you can also, if you go to Apple Podcasts, you can some of the ones that I did before. I drop one every Monday, as I said. And if you are interested in checking out my book, From Iraq to the State House, A Soldier's Journey of Leadership, Service, and Sacrifice, you can find those on Amazon.com or any other bookstore that you go to. You can order those because there are. It's a barcode on the back. Sorry, I'm kind of tripping all over my words. You can do that. And then, I forgot, last thing. I'm not sure if you guys heard this. When my wife and I first got married, I'm not sure if you heard this, because my audio was jacked up. When my wife and I first got married, when we moved, I had a box. And everywhere we went, she, would set up the house, not because she was made to do that, because my wife is not like that. However, I did that to make sure that our home was ready to go, the kids were comfortable, the kids were in school, and then she would do her professional job. She worked for the military or the Department of Defense. Going through some of my stuff, and she found some of my awards that I get an award and I would just throw it in a box or what have you, and it was an award. Okay, she'd find sends, she would find archives, Army Commendation Medals, Meritorious Service Medals, Army Achievement Medals. I mean, just she would find all this stuff, my Bronze Star. I put it in a box and I walk away from it. One day she was going through my boxes and she's, what is all this stuff? And I, well, it's my awards. It's stuff that I got over the years. And she says, well, it's not going to stay in a box. So wherever I went, she would dedicate a little house somewhere. One time I had an office about as big as a closet, but she made it work. She sure did. But she put my awards up. And she did that, and she said, "You need to be proud of the things that you've earned. You weren't you. Nobody gave you a handout. You earned these things. Okay, you earned these things. Now, this is one thing I want to show you. And I found this. I was cleaning out my office, and I found this. Uh, and I just found this today. I found this today when I was cleaning out my office. Um, so what it is, I don't know if y'all can. I don't know if y'all can see this. It's a certificate of appreciation. Okay. And I want to read it to you. That's the thing. It says certificate of appreciation for services in the armed forces of the United States of America. Walter J. Blackman, Sergeant First Class, United States Army. It says, so that means a person wrote it. I just want you to know that. It says, I extend to you my personal thanks and the sincere appreciation of a grateful nation for your contributions of an honorable service to our country. You have helped maintain the security of the nation during critical times in its history with devotion to duty and the spirit of sacrificing and keeping with the proud traditions of military service. Now, I'm sure I'm sure a lot of people get this in the military, but this is the first time I see it. This is why I'm excited about this. And then it says, uh, your commitment and dedication have been an inspiration for those who will follow and your footsteps, and for all Americans who join me in today in do I have my and saluting you for a excellent job, well done. Now let me tell you who signed the bottom of this. My best wishes to you for happiness and success in the future, signed by the Commander in Chief. Then it was President George Bush, too. Now, I know some people are going to say, oh, that's not that. Everybody gets that. But you know what? My name's on there, and I got it, and I'm proud of that. So I wanted to share that with you because it's not often that you get something signed by the President of the United States, the Commander in Chief, for something that you have done. And it's not something that was a handout, it was something that I earned. And I'm proud of that. And I just wanted to share that with you all. Everybody take care of Walt Blackman, and I'll see you next